So I'm here with Miranda and Jane, isn't it? Yes, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Really enjoying the conference so far.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on digital journalism?
On digital journalism?
Yes.
Well, I think it's kind of where everything is, and where everything's happening. We're hearing all these different creative things. Every time I come to Newsrewired, there's more creative things that people are doing, and it's just all changing quickly and in exciting ways.
Yeah, it's constantly developing.
It is constantly developing, which is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, well, I run a master's in digital journalism, and it's an ever-changing field. The rapidly changing technology. So that core set of skills for digital journalism students is just rapidly expanding and changing. So beyond just the traditional journalism skills, skills in mobile journalism, coding, interactivity, visual journalism.
So what other platforms are you pushing in your course?
Well, live and interactive is very important. Engagement with the audience is really important. We do a lot with mobile journalism. We have John McHugh, who runs Verify and is a leader in his field, teaching mobile journalism. So students are producing, viral videos and more documentary-style videos. And also on the computing side, students learning to code, they'll be able to do data journalism, be able to do data visualization, and sort of more advanced social media techniques through computing techniques.
Yeah. Focusing on one of those platforms, what are your thoughts on live streaming?
Well, it was a fascinating panel we had today. I was on something last night. I mean, it's rapidly advancing. It's interesting to see Twitter and Facebook vying for that space. Obviously they suit very different, different types of videos. Twitter's talking about the ability to monetize that area, with pre-roll ads. And obviously with the Facebook algorithm changes, that poses a whole new set of challenges for news organizations, that's for sure.
Do you think it's something that is here to stay?
Yes, I think it's an evolution of things that we've been seeing all along. I mean, we saw live blogging, we've seen, and Twitter kind of took over some of the blogging space with the microblogging, and now we're seeing live streaming. So if you kind of look at it as an evolution, it is kind of an ongoing pattern, but it is a lot to try to take in. I think, we tend, in particular here, I think, to have wonderful, amazing people, but they come from fairly large national organizations. I think it's a real challenge, in particular, for some of the local organizations to try to keep up with all these different things as well.
Speaking of evolution and thinking forward to 5 years' time, where do you think news is developing?
Well, I've never been good at answering that question. Yes, if I knew, I'd be rich. Well, I do. Clearly, there is more. There's more visual content. It's unclear where news is going to go in that direction and how it's going to fill out that space, because there's also a lot of space for other kinds of things. There's kind of an unexpected, I think, growth in long-form journalism. There is perhaps no longer unexpected, but I think when it first appeared, unexpected growth in audio and podcasting. So for me, it's always been very hard to predict where things are going. I think, as Miranda was saying, I think that for our students, it's very much about learning how to think about adapting to change. I mean, they need to know how to do particular things, but in particular, they need to know how to think about doing something differently than the way they thought about doing it before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to be moderating a panel later about, voice interaction and, delivering news over the likes of Alexa and Google Assistant. And that's certainly a really interesting development in this industry. Some people have said it's the next challenge for journalism, the great disruptor after, originally desktop and smartphones, is this the way forward? And certainly a lot of news organizations are scrambling to test out this area.
And both of you are lecturers. What are your response like from the students? I mean, has there been a rise in figures attending your courses as well?
We do very well in our courses. We have a class that we teach in digital innovation. That's about kind of not just kind of learning how to use these things. We do many of the same things that Miranda highlighted as well. But it's also about how to develop your own, how to kind of be take an idea that you're interested in, and where do you go with that, and how do you take it, and how do you make it work? Whether you're doing that for a news organization or whether you're doing that on your own. So students are very engaged. I just did a little study in how they think about change and how they think about innovation. I will have the spoiler, not that anyone will actually see the study, but they very much think about innovation as being technological innovation. They very much are focused on change being about the way the tools are changing. Yeah. And to me, in some ways, it's more interesting to think about how journalism is changing and how that's changing the way we think about what we do. We had a great panel this morning, and there'll be another one later this afternoon on audiences and how we engage with them and what kind of relationships we have. And I think a lot of those things that are connected with technology, but aren't all about technology, are about different ways of thinking about what we do. And so it's interesting to see them engage with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And we had a huge increase in interest. So the number of applicants have doubled over the last couple of years. And increasingly we're getting a lot of news organisations coming to us saying we need someone with this set of skills. And quite often we can't keep up with that demand. So actually it's a really exciting time for digital journalism.
Wow, that's incredible. It's constantly evolving all the time. What would you say your top tips are of engaging an audience? Whether that's students or online.
No matter how, no matter what platform, what sort of journalism it is. I mean, storytelling is key across all platforms. So being able to tell an engaging story, grabbing, your audience at the start. If you're live, making sure that there's a reason for going live. Make sure that you're continuing to interact with comments if there are comments coming up, and so playing to the advantages that digital journalism has, like visualization and video, interactivity, and so forth.
I also think, in addition to that, I also think the notion, they touched on that a little bit this morning, we'll probably get more into it this afternoon, of creating a community. I think engagement, as Jessica, I think it was, said, it's not just about the tote bag, right? I mean, they really want to feel that they're a part of something and that they're connecting both with the journalist, I think, and with the story and engaging in the story, but also connecting with each other. So I think the organizations that are kind of doing well with this idea of engaging audiences are creating a space for all of those things to happen. It's very difficult to do, but I think the ones that do it well are really onto something.
I would agree. Those that understand their audience are the ones that are doing the best in this area.
Okay, perfect.